Spokesperson for Health, Madeleine Hicklin.
This failure to organise referrals is totally unacceptable, especially as we know that the Gauteng Department of Health projects often run over time and over budget.
Government has welcomed the arrest of 12 senior police officers accused of helping controversial businessman Vusmuzi Kat Matlala secure a multi-million rand SAPS tender. The officers were arrested in a raid by the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption last night and are appearing before the Pretoria Magistrates Court on a litany of charges, including fraud and money laundering. They are alleged to have played a role in assisting Matlala's company Medicare 24 score a 360 million rand police tender mired in irregularities. Government says the arrests send a clear message that no individual is above scrutiny. Our Government Department spokesperson William Baloyi.
The arrests serve as a firm reminder across the public sector that ethical leadership, transparent procurement practices, and strict compliance with policies such as the Public Finance Management Act are non-negotiable obligations. Government is committed to ensuring that law enforcement institutions are credible, professional, and beyond reproach.
In the Eastern Cape earlier today, firefighters battled flare-ups of a fire which ravaged most of the Bueta Sikau building in Mthatha. The historic building, which houses 9 government departments, has been engulfed in flames since yesterday evening. Members of the provincial government executive will be visiting the area today to assess the damage. Nhlanhla Mabaso is there.
This building is a historic one for this part of the province. It's named after the late Amampondo King Botha Sikau, making it a heritage site. It seems 10 floors of the 11-story building are completely gutted, with only parts of the first floor slightly damaged. King Sabata Dalindyebo District Municipality spokesperson Olwethu Mabovula.
As you can also just see behind you that there's nothing left of this building, so all 10 floors. So in terms of the extent of the damage inside, there's nothing that is left according to what we see.
The province's Public Works and Infrastructure MEC Sipokazi Lusiti is expected to conduct a full assessment of the structure, which belongs to her department. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Mthatha in the Eastern Cape.
In the Western Cape, government has announced major pushes to expand housing delivery, with more than 2 billion rand allocated to human settlements in the province. Yesterday, the Provincial Infrastructure Department tabled a 9 billion rand budget for the 2026-2027 financial year. The department says housing demand in the province is rising as people continue moving to the Western Cape. Carlo Peterson has more.
Western Cape MEC for Infrastructure Tertius Simmers says key developments include Valmoot near Stellenbosch, where more than 10,000 houses are being built. Simmers says the Itemba project in Eersterivier is expected to provide around 2,400 housing opportunities, including community facilities and services.
It is about the acceleration of dignity and opportunity for every citizen of the Western Cape.
He says the province is also unlocking inner city land at Prestwich, Leeuloop and Founders Garden, aimed at bringing people closer to jobs and transport. While Simmers insists the new reforms will accelerate housing delivery, opposition parties believe the province is not keeping pace with the need for more housing. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And the British government is set to trial social media bans to find out how effective it would be for under-16s. The trial comes as the government's consultations on a potential Australian-style social media ban is set to conclude on the 26th of May. During the test, led by government, a portion of 300 teenagers across 4 nations in the UK will have their social media apps disabled. According to reports, this will mimic the enforcement of a social media ban at home. The consultation, which opened at the beginning of March, has already received nearly 30,000 responses. Gold is trading at $4,542.87 an ounce. The rand is at 16.90 to the dollar, 22.64 to the pound, 19.60 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $99.61 a barrel.
In Sandton, heading towards the Joburg CBD, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the M1 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Ethel Oakland, and in Edenvale, slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange.
It's a partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng, with isolated showers and thunder showers still expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the DA in Gauteng is alleging that surgical services at Tambo Memorial Hospital in Boksburg have been halted for at least 2 months now.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Khomotso Modise. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in with you between 1 and 3 p.m. It is 6 minutes past 1 on this lovely Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy midweek. We've got quite the show prepared for you today, as always, really. Coming up, we've got a masterclass on neurodiversity careers. It's a term that you may not be aware of, but it's all about having workplace systems that are designed to include neurodiverse people, people that are not always catered for in our society. We're having that conversation just after 2 p.m. and we'll be talking to Prof. Sifu from UJ's Educational Psychology Department. I'm really looking forward to that. And then for our finance feature, today we talk to a lady who started a concert stockfell. Stockfell for concerts. It's called Groove Fund. It's a group of people that saves money together to attend some of the biggest shows in the country. And listen, I mean, that's something I'm really considering as a person who likes to go to shows. And so if you are one of those people, please be on the lookout for that conversation. And then we'll also be having a conversation about mental health leave. So you know how mental health currently in many companies is catered for under normal sick leave. But the company Canon has started having a designated mental health leave. And I'm looking forward to hearing how exactly that came about and how it differs from normal sick leave. That's the show this afternoon on the team. We've got Abel, who's our technical producer in studio. The lovely Pachida is taking your calls. Karabo Chani is watching the roads. Mongezi Koko has your news. And that's it today on 702 Afternoons. Get in touch with us. The number to dial if you want to join the conversation is 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 or get in touch with me on X. My handle is at @mozo_Modise.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So how are you doing on this lovely Wednesday afternoon? It is a Wednesday in autumn and I can already feel that transition. It's not quite chilly today, so I'm very grateful for that, but I can feel the shift in the weather and it is getting a little cooler and cooler. We're grateful for the day that it is today. I mean, it's a Wednesday, so we're almost there, right? Wednesdays are awkward because you're always thinking, wow, we still have Thursday to go before Friday. But you know what? We're here to make it a little easier for you right here on 702 Afternoons. So a video has gone viral that caught my attention. And it's a video of a man who's spoken about a traumatic time as a child, a traumatic childhood that he had. He says his mother was away at school when he was a child. She was studying to become a teacher. And he was left in the care of his aunt and grandmother, who struggled to take care of him. He was clearly neglected as a child. And he's spoken about how he would sometimes go to bed in his school uniform because his guardians just wouldn't take care of him. So they wouldn't make sure that he's ready for school in the morning, that he's got, clean, fresh clothes. He's in grade 3 at this time. They wouldn't make sure that he's prepared, that he's neat, that he's taken care of, that he's been well groomed. And oftentimes he'd have to wake up in the morning and just wear his school uniform. And he says that at the tender age of about, 9, because in grade 3 most people are 9, he would have to dig in the washing basket to wear the shirt from the day before and his pants and his uniform and go to school. So he says he figured out that, when I sleep in my school uniform, it's less wrinkled when I wake up in the morning and I can wear it, or I don't have to get up and get dressed. I can just get out of bed, don't take a shower or a bath. And children at that age, they think there's nothing wrong with waking up and not taking a bath. And he would just leave, right? and go to school. But of course, the teachers started to notice that he looked unkempt, he looked untidy, not groomed, his clothes were not clean, his hair was not brushed. And so on one of the days, he says he was kicked out of school, kicked out of class by one of the teachers. And the teacher said, the odor is unbearable and you are, not looking good, so leave my classroom. And he says he would also steal lunch from other children because naturally in a home where you're not taken care of, where you're not catered for, he wouldn't have food, he wouldn't have lunch, and he would be very hungry. And he says, as a result, he would go to school. He'd be so eager to go to school because he knows that's where he would find some decent food. And he's relayed how he would steal lunch from a specific child who had really good lunch. And he says at that point, that's when he realized, that there are richer people out there because the lunch was so well prepared. And he's spoken about this traumatic experience as a child. And he says, then he met a teacher. And he says the teacher's name is Juffrou Jackie. Let's take a listen.
In grade 3, I met Juffrou Jackie. And because the school realized that I'm the one stealing the other kids' kaftims, they did not allow me to have lunch anymore. So they would make sure that I am around Juffrou Jackie at all times. I don't know whether they wanted to chase me away. And she was like, no, don't chase this guy away. So I was not supposed or allowed to leave her side. I had to be with her from the day school started until I go home. Every single day. Even when she's on lunch, I had to be sitting outside the staff room every day, just so that they can have an eye on me. That happened for the first week. This second week, they had a function as teachers, right? This is the first time I felt like people, she loves me. They had a function as teachers, and when she walked out after break, she came holding a cupcake for me, and she gave me a cupcake. And it was actually the first time we actually had a conversation with Juffrou Jackie, because Juffrou Jackie was like, what's happening? Who are you staying with? You are too young to be going through. Who's taking care of you? And I informed her that Juffrou, ek bly met my oma and my tannie, my ma, as by die school. And since that day, Juffrou Jackie just started speaking life into me, I remember she used to say to me, Makatsu, alles gaan reg wees. Alles gaan reg wees. Alles gaan reg wees. Every single day, she just literally just told me. And out of nowhere, I just started believing that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Like, Juffrou Jackie was so consistent in saying that I started believing it, to a point where I started changing. I just started feeling like, I don't have to feel bad or sad for myself. Everything is going to be okay. Because every day, and I could see how the other teachers would look at me, as opposed to how Juffrou Jackie used to look at me. She used to look at me with love, with kindness, and that's literally one person. I'll never forget Juffrou Jackie.
And that story it warmed my heart so much, And man, it just left me a little teary-eyed because clearly Juffrou Jackie made such a mark in this man's life. And if you want to see the video, the full video, it is on TikTok. His surname or his handle is at Malume Shedrack. So you can see the full video. But that got me thinking about the one person that you will never forget because they changed the direction of your life. And whether you believe you would be where you are today without them. There are those people that make a mark in your life and they don't even know. Sometimes Juffrou Jackie didn't even know or remember that she did this for this man. But she changed his life. Juffrou Jackie changed his life because he started believing that things are going to be okay, even though there was no real evidence of that, even though he couldn't really see that things were going to be okay. Things were really bad and tough, for him. And I can think of a couple of people like that in my own life, I can think of teachers who were there carrying me throughout my schooling. I remember Miss Thurley was my grade 11 and matric English teacher. And it was during a time in my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really didn't. I was confused. I was unsure. But she would be so persistent in ensuring that She puts me in public speaking. She makes sure I'm part of public speaking classes, debating, anything that had to do with English and literature. She pushed me in that direction. I believe it's because she saw that, there's something here. Maybe this is something that this child can pursue. And she was so intentional about it, even when I wasn't. And I think back at her efforts, even when I was, sometimes not even very invested, she was on my behalf. I think about a lady from church, Mambinki, who once said to me after I spoke, I can't remember, I did something at church, and she came to me and she said, why don't you pursue a career in journalism? And I think about that a lot, to say this person really changed the trajectory of my life, and they didn't even know. They didn't know it at the time, but they really made a mark, an indelible mark in my life. And so I want to hear from you. Who's that one person that you will never forget because they changed the direction of your life? Maybe they spoke life into you and into your situation. Maybe things seemed so bleak for you at that point. You felt like you hit rock bottom and there was no future, no light at the end of the tunnel. But that person just said something or pushed you into a direction, and things just changed for you. I want to hear from you. The number to dial is 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. I'm taking your WhatsApps. I do see on Facebook many of you already commenting. Someone saying their late father was that person. Another person saying, my ex-girlfriend, if it wasn't for her, I was still going to be at that stupid, caring, oh goodness. Okay, this person's not taking it seriously, saying they would have been that stupid, humble, caring, loving man. I hope that you'll continue being stupid, caring, and loving. Maybe not stupid, but caring and loving, okay? But I saw something actually from someone who said that they also had a teacher who contributed to their life and their trajectory in that way as well. A teacher who looked at them and, and thought and spoke life into their situation, even if they didn't really know the magnitude of the contribution that they were making. I think teachers are superheroes, because in many of these situations, you hear the teachers are the ones that have done this for people. The teachers are the ones that saw that, oh man, there's a need in this child's life and I'm going to do something about it. Someone saying, my grade 8 accounting teacher, Miss Mulete, forced me to enter Miss Mamelong in 1994 with no self-esteem. Today, I'm the first Black and female national director to bring an international crown in South Africa from Russia to South Africa, Mrs. Bricks 2026. Oh, listen to that. All because teacher Mulete saw that, no man, there's talent here. This girl should pursue this, and they might just be successful. Someone else saying, happy Wednesday, Mozo. I wish some adults could understand how much their interactions with kids affect the child. I'm a broken adult because one woman, a neighbor, felt the need to remind me how ugly I was. I see her sometimes, still miserable and actually ugly, and I'm mean-spirited. Yeah. I hope that you tell her that person, that you broke me, what you said broke me, so that they know the impact that their words have on other people. Let's take more calls after this.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Let's do like a sort of a temperature check. Have you ever felt the pressure to give in church? Because sometimes you've got religious leaders who stand there and say, no, that 100 rand you have, God is saying, trust him with that. You know who disappointed me recently? Anita Bainham.
Yes, Lord. He just said 5 more people are sitting here deciding, but you're not deciding about money, you're deciding about your future. God wants some people to pay some bills for him.
Jack, you're in Pretoria.
Hi, Clement. Imagine sitting in church and the pastor or so-called tells you that so-and-so did not pay. That is intimidation and robbery. They should open cases.
But you are now sent by the devil, Jack.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Did you know that you are entitled to buy a new, demo, or used car without a service or a maintenance plan? You can also use an independent workshop for all servicing and maintenance needs without your warranty being automatically voided. Independent workshops are entitled to all technical info and parts needed to work on your vehicle, so you can shop around for the best price and service. Right to Repair. It's your choice. Visit righttorepair.org.za.
Winning the work is one thing. Funding it is another. When growth moves faster than cash, Bridgement gives you the cash flow to deliver, even when timing works against you. Apply online in minutes. Get up to 10 million Rand in as little as 24 hours. Apply now at bridgement.com.
Bridgement. Business funding simplified.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language MTN Business and 702 understand very well. That's why we're celebrating SMEs who walk that entrepreneurial talk in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. From the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between, small businesses are proving that big things can grow from bold ideas. If that sounds like your business or one you know, go to primemediaplus.com to enter or nominate them, because once we start talking about your business, who knows how much further it could go. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. T's and C's apply.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoons. My name is Modise. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja. We're speaking about that one person that you'll never forget because they changed the direction of your life. And would you be where you are today without them? Let's take a listen to some of your voice notes.
Oh my God, Yefro Jackie, you deserve the highest of heavens. I was in tears listening to that voice note, and it just reminds us that we can all be a Yefro Jackie and change someone's life. So note to self.
Komatso, interesting topic. I also had a teacher in primary school that somehow believed in me so much that now I actually excelled at a subject, history and Afrikaans. And whereas my maths teacher, my health teacher, and some of the other teachers just had doubted me, but that one somehow, she believed in me so much that it actually changed my life. Till this day, I actually go out of my way to actually affect other people's lives and just show them that now, hey, there is hope out there, as much as that teacher did. Mrs. Bleeden in Hazel Primary School, Johannesburg. Shout out to her.
Good afternoon, Khumutso. I was a top student at school from primary, top 10, top 5, and all the awards evenings. My mother never came, not to one of them. I remember when I finished grade 7, going into high school, there was a teacher called Mr. Nason. She said to me, she sees so much potential in me. She's going to sponsor my uniform for starting in high school. She bought me full school uniform that year when I was going to grade 8. And I know that she once said that her husband was a chartered accountant, which inspired me. Today I'm on my way to becoming a chartered accountant as well.
Oh, yes.
Anonymous here.
Oh, Anonymous. Oh, I often tease Relebogile for crying on the show, for crying on air. But now look at me, because these stories, man, are just so heartwarming. And I love how it's the teachers, it's so many teachers, that change people's lives, that see in us sometimes things that we don't see in ourselves. And to be able, I believe it's also a gift, to be able to spot that child is in need. That child needs support. I think in a classroom of 30, 40, 35 sometimes, especially if you went to a public school, if there are 30 children or even 20 children, you might not necessarily be able to spot the one who needs support, the one who needs a hug, or the one who just needs a bit of help. And teachers, some teachers at least, have got this gift of being able to see that and and doing something about it. And we really need to appreciate them. You know, a couple of years ago, I wanted to go back to my high school to go find Miss Thurley, but I think that she's since passed. Yes, she was already an elderly woman when I was in high school, so it didn't surprise me much. But I really just wanted to say thank you, to Miss Thurley for what she did in my life, for just pushing me in this direction, and for the teachers that said things. That we all know that teacher that speaks and says things that they're not even thinking about. I don't think sometimes they understand the impact that they have on children. The man who sent the voice note, that there was the teachers that didn't believe in him. I'm so glad that you believed in the teacher who believed in you, or you chose to believe what that teacher was saying to you. Because it's so easy sometimes to listen to the naysayers and to believe the naysayers that say you're not going to be anything. Yeah, when I was in high school, my accounting teacher, and I'm not going to say her name, shame, but my accounting teacher, she didn't think that I would do well in accounting at all, and I took accounting until matric. On the day that I graduated in my honors in forensic auditing, I wanted to go back to her and say, "Ma'am, do you see?" I held that with me for so long. I held it with me throughout my university career. And every time I did my undergrad, in accounting, and I think I wanted to prove a point to her as well. And I always feel like I wanted to say to her, "Ma'am, you know what? Your words actually pushed me and propelled me to want to prove you wrong." But we're not going to focus on the naysayers today. We're going to focus only on the ones that speak life into us. I do see many of your voice notes still coming in. Let's take some of them.
Hey guys, I will never forget Mrs. Cross. My first grade 1 teacher. She was like my mentor, my everything. She used to bring me lunch. I didn't bring lunch from home. I used to get lunch from her. She used to help me with her homework, my homeworks, and my projects. Mrs. Cross used to go to her house, go swim. No, I'll never forget that teacher from grade 1. And she even bought me my first table and chair for grade 1. I used to sit alone.
Oh, Mrs. Cross, thank you so much. Thank you for what you did for our brother over here. Yeah, let's take some of your calls. I see Simpiwe in Centurion. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your call. Go ahead, Simpiwe.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I hear a lot of people are actually calling. It's actually very nice to see that that culture was there in our times, you see. I've also experienced that in my elderly life in the banking sector, where you had some contribution. However, one thing I've realized, it always comes from a different races. I don't know what your listeners can make out of that. It's always, especially in recent times, you get different races. I hear the teachers that have been mentioned, they are mostly white ladies in particular, helping, not because maybe the other races were in needy, I don't know. But why is that? I think it's something that needs to be looked at. Because also
so just so I understand properly, so you're saying it's generally white teachers that are being mentioned.
Exactly. From what I've heard in the discussion that you guys are having.
Well, maybe it's because many of the listeners happened to have white teachers. Like I know in my instance, I only had my first black teacher in high school, and they were the only black teacher in my school. So I think maybe that's the experience that some listeners were having.
Yeah. And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm putting on the table is a challenge. I'm giving it to the listeners that it shouldn't be like that. Because at some stage, if I can make a quick example, I was out of a job, and a friend of mine who's living in the UK, who happened to be white, my ex-colleague, gave me some details of someone who was black working in another banking sector and said, listen, this guy is a Zulu guy. You are a Zulu guy. He'll be able to help you to actually help you. He's a manager, someone. The guy just look on the other side. So therefore, in my whole career example, I'll jump into the career area mostly for 8 to 10 years. the white people that actually was working there, Afrikaans in particular, helped me throughout the journey, you know. And when you turn to your other black people, I can put it straight like that, they will never help you. So I'm putting that as a challenge to the listeners from a mental perspective that we do need to contribute in our small corners. Yeah, I don't know what you have to say about that. I hope I don't offend anyone because that's not the point.
Well, no, thank you for your call, Simpure. But I think what we will do then is that, because I'm certain that there are teachers also or people who contributed in the next person's life that are not necessarily white. I don't think it's a race thing at all. In fact, when I look at the Facebook messages, some of the names that I've seen mentioned here are black names. I'm not sure that it's a race thing. I think when it comes to teachers, in many people's experiences, they may have only had white teachers at their schools, and that's the only people that they had experiences with. But I'm sure the people that had teachers that were not white could have similar experiences as well. In fact, I want to challenge you. Please get in touch with us. If you're a teacher, you had a teacher that wasn't necessarily a white person, or even a black person who contributed in your life in that way, please get in touch with us. I'm certain that this is not a white thing. I'm going to take more of your calls after the headlines. Mongezugogo standing by. Good afternoon.
That's right, Khomotso. Very good afternoon. The man arrested in connection with the murder of a key witness at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry says the postponement of his bid for bail is simply unfair. Matipandi Lesoteni appeared in the Brakpan Magistrates Court today for allegedly shooting Marius van der Merwe, who testified at the commission as witness D. He was meant to formally apply for bail today, but his lawyers requested to return to court on the 14th of May to formalize his bid for bail. The King Sabata Dalinkebo District Municipality in the Eastern Cape says it's awaiting a report into the cause of the Buerthas building fire in the Mthatha CBD. The fire started in the building, which is situated right opposite the municipal offices last night. Firefighters are still working to fully extinguish the blaze. And China's foreign ministry has accused Japan of failing in its duties to protect diplomatic staff. This comes after a member of Japan's military broke into the Chinese embassy in Tokyo yesterday morning. A 23-year-old man confirmed to be a member of the military was arrested shortly after the incident. Those are your headlines this EWN, and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are heading towards Bedford View, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenville on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Also traveling through the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boyson's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the double-decker section. Also, if you are heading towards Leratong coming from Rudeport, expect some delays on Randfontein Road between Adcock and Corlett. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Belez and Malibongo Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. Let's go back to that moment when the president and a delegation met the U.S. president in the White House. How did that moment play out for you?
My advice to the president was don't go to the White House too early unless you have something in hand. Trump does not respect empty-handedness and what he sees as weakness. And so our president thought that if you go with two white golfers and a white billionaire and they make the case for you, that would work.
How do you deal with a mendacious man like Donald Trump?
You can take the China way and basically say, when you are ready to talk about what critical minerals and what other goods and capital you need from us, come and speak to us again. Or you can take the bloody-mindedness of an Iranian government to say, meet us on the battlefield.
Brahim Rasool, the former South African ambassador to the United States. Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Imagine beginning your holiday to the sound of the ocean and ending it with a sunset encounter with the Big Five. Club Med is bringing their brand new beach and safari resort to KZN this July. It's the first of its kind, combining a beachfront escape with a private safari lodge experience, all in one holiday. Plus, it's fully all-inclusive. Think gourmet dining, activities, wellness, and more. Take advantage of the Club Med season opening sale from the 24th to the 27th of March. Book at clubmed.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Stand a chance to win a share of a red-hot 3 million rand with the Hollywood Bet Spinner Zonke jackpot race. Enter the chase and enjoy a feast of fun where every spin could unlock riveting rewards. To start your adventure, bet 2 rand or more on selected habanero games every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. The racing revolution starts now. Dive in and prepare to take top spot.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
You can become a victim of a legal problem, wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The Southern African Agri-Initiative, the group say government is blocking them from procuring their own foot and mouth vaccines for their cattle.
It's the regulations and the law requiring state-controlled diseases, particularly those using vaccines that are not registered for use in South Africa. Some farmers took it upon themselves to import vaccines from Kenya. They've now potentially introduced strains of the FMD vaccine, and that obviously complicates the fight against foot and mouth disease.
John Steenhuisen, Minister of Agriculture.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Islamic Business Bank, celebrating 20 years of banking that honors your values. Your story matters. Absa is a registered FSP.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's 7:02 afternoons, and we've been speaking about a person who has contributed to your life in a way that changed the direction of your life. And we're asking whether you believe that you'd be where you are today without them. Now, we had a caller a short while ago who spoke about, suggested that this is a race thing. But I said, I am certain that this is not a race thing, that it's not just white or black people that contribute positively in other people's lives and change the trajectories of their life. And I know for a fact that many listeners will give, their experience of being positively spoken into or spoken to and their lives contributed into positively by black people. Let's take a listen to some voice notes.
Good day, how are you? I'm one of the students that my life was changed by a teacher, Malek. He stays in Limpopo, Bungeni site, the place called the Tanana Plane. I spent 10 years in high school and I wasn't that stupid. I was good, but that teacher told me that they meant change the school, you'll get bachelor in matric. I changed the school, I went to another school. Then I passed so well, and then I went to matric. In matric, I did the bachelor. And now my life is flowing because of that teacher, because I was deciding to give up.
Hi there, Moto. I'd like to pick up two former teachers of mine who used to teach at Parker's Primary School, Mrs. Griffin and Mem Chabalala. You can imagine coming from the homelands, Emakaya. You don't know English now. You are at this multiracial school. You are not used to the urban culture. Those two teachers made a difference in my life. They took the time to teach me how to read and write English, to teach me the content, on one-on-one occasions. So big up to them, man. Miss Griffin and Mem Chabalala, former teachers at Parker's Primary School. Tseponong, Middlelands.
Where Komodo, please, Kuza that guy. My mom is a former teacher. She used to do a lot for the kids in a school. They kids with special needs. We grew up knowing that those are our siblings. They would come to our house. She'd do stuff for them. She'd make sure that they go and do sports. These are kids with special needs. Some of them, they don't even know how to spell or even write. She'd even make sure that they have basic skills like sewing, doing gardening. So please, that guy must never do this.
Yeah, I didn't want to say too much because I know for a fact that many of you would prove him wrong. I see many of your WhatsApps coming in. Someone else here is saying a big shout out to the to Tutupowe and John Madden. These are my strikers for life. If it was not for them, I'd be unhappy and a lousy call center quality analyst. Thank you for showing my way around the boardroom presentations and giving me the confidence to face the world. You see, the truth is, this is not a race thing. It's a human thing. There are people that are just great human beings that contribute positively in other people's lives, teachers that have contributed positively in people's lives. I mean, I know for a fact I have friends from church too who went to township schools, who had amazing teachers. In fact, some of the ladies at my church were teachers also in township schools who I know have made such a great impact on people's lives. So yeah, thank you so much for your contributions and thank you so much for your calls. In fact, you know what? I don't want us to end this conversation on this note, because this was such a heartwarming conversation where we were recognizing the people that have contributed in our lives positively and that have spoken life into our lives or our situations. So I think that let's prioritize that and let's thank those people really. And really, if they are still alive, go back to them and say, thank you so much for what you've done for me. Say, thank you so much for how you've contributed to my life. And this is how things turned out for me. I think sometimes it's easy to, just think about it in your corner, but take the moment to reach out to that person if they are still alive and tell them what they've done for you.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, this conversation is brought to you by Canon, delighting you always. So this is a lovely conversation that we're having around mental health. I think as a country and as a society, we've made some strides when it comes to mental health and recognizing it as an illness that really needs the same support and an illness that must be recognized equally in the workplace. Now, in many places of employment, mental health is catered for, or leave for mental health is catered for, but only as sick leave, under normal sick leave. But Canon South Africa is introducing mental health leave days. And we're going to be finding out exactly why. That conversation that we're having is with Nerisha Kistan, who's the HR director at Canon South Africa. Nerisha, thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon, Kumoto. Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon to listeners as well.
So, I mean, I know for a fact that we, over the last couple of months, as progress has been made in catering and recognizing the seriousness of mental health challenges, we've seen in many companies mental health being considered and catered for under traditional sick leave. Sometimes in some companies, it's still annual leave, where if you are struggling with your mental health, you're forced to take annual leave. But Canon South Africa has taken it a step further, and you're introducing dedicated mental health leave days. What prompted the company to formalize this policy?
So, Humoto, in HR, we're constantly balancing the needs of the business and with the needs of our people. And it's right at that intersection where progressive, future-fit policies are created. Over the past few years, what we've seen is a noticeable increase in employees raising concerns around stress, burnout, and emotional fatigue. Now, obviously, these were not isolated incidents. They reflected a broader shift in the realities of modern work and life in South Africa in general. While us as managers and people leaders, we do our best, daily to offer flexibility informally, it became very clear to us that the organization needed a consistent and transparent approach to this. And employees were often, like you said, relying on annual or sick leave to cope with mental health challenges. And what that meant is we lacked true visibility into the scale of the need. So introducing a formal mental health leave framework was a very conscious decision to acknowledge these realities openly and also to ensure that every employee receives the same level of support regardless of which team they're in.
And I mean, I do see that, you've made this decision and you've woven it into your policy. Just what went into that? Because, as you're saying, we have been seeing mental health being recognized recently, but having the actual leave days in your policy, what went into that?
So the start of putting together the support framework, so really the leave days is just an element of the entire ecosystem that we have put together. So the leave days relates to the consistent 5 days of leave, and we say consistent because we wanted it to not be fragmented in any way. We wanted it to be real time off, but it forms just one element of the ecosystem of support that we put in place. And the other elements really is around leadership capability, so strengthening our leadership capability, making sure that our leaders are trained to identify, understanding when to refer and report when they're seeing people go through, any mental health challenges. But we've also got mental health champions that we've also implemented into this ecosystem of support, because we also believe that sometimes employees might not feel naturally inclined to go to their leader, but they'll really, be able to talk to somebody that's sitting next to them. So that peer support is also part of that ecosystem of support that we've put together. So I have to emphasize that it's not really just about the leave and the time off. That is just the beginning of the journey for someone to get the help that they need from the partners, the wellness partners that we've partnered with, and then continue that journey afterward with the support of their peers as well as their line managers.
And what does this milestone mean for the company? I mean, you are trailblazers, it seems, in this space. What does this mean for Canon?
I think that, like every company, Canon is no different when we talk about improving things like productivity or using, the famous sexy line, resilient organizations need to have resilient employees. It starts with building strong foundations. And if we look at ourselves as human beings first, a strong mental health foundation allows people to really be psychologically fit. As much as we put emphasis into our physical health from a health and safety perspective, this emphasis on the psychological well-being means that we get to put the same kind of effort and the same focus without stigma or judgment.
All right, Narisha Kiston is the HR Director of Canon South Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Let's leave it there. Of course, they have started having mental health leave, and it's separate from your traditional sick leave and annual leave, which I think is one of the first. And I think it's an important one because, until now, we've been seeing mental health being catered for under sick leave and under annual leave sometimes, which is actually, it's pretty backward if you ask me. You shouldn't be taking your annual leave to go take care of your mental health. It's important that it is catered for specifically in your employment policy, and that's exactly what Canon South Africa is doing here. This conversation was brought to you by Canon, delighting you always.
There are some things in life you can't replace. The essentials. Dinners with the ones you love.
Dad, it's on fire!
Coffees discussing the ones you used to love.
It was standard 4, Mom. Time to let go.
Watching movies as you fall in love. It's really smoky in here. Get what you love for less with SA's best furniture essentials on sale right now at DecoFurn. In-store or at decofurnsa.co.za.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702. 702. Finance Feature.
This finance feature is brought to you by Stanlib Asset Management. Invest in more. So here's a conversation that I've really been looking forward to as a person who really likes stockfells, right? You can call me a young rakadi, right? Because stockfells, yeah, listen, I'm that type of person. It's a great way to save money. And stockfell culture is embedded in South African culture, really, right? That's exactly what we do. It's always been a way of saving either money or, groceries, stocking up for groceries. But have you ever heard of a concert stockfell? That's for the people that we call groovists, people that like to have a good time, right? And I think that's why it's been called the Groove Fund. And we're joined by the founder of the Groove Fund. What started as a frustrating moment about missing out on live music has grown into a community of over 200 members, pooling funds to attend some of the biggest shows in the country. Listen, this sounds like my vibe. Nene Mahlangu is the founder of the Groove Fund, and she joins us now live. Nene, good afternoon.
Hi, Komoto.
Listen, this is speaking to me, okay? Because these are the two things that I really am about. Number one, I will join a stockfell. I'm that girl. But number two, I will also always attend something nice, whether it's a festival, whether, it's a bit of groove somewhere nice. You'll find me there if I can. And I think this idea of yours is absolutely brilliant because it brings the two together. How did this come about that we're going to save money as a group to go to groove?
Thank you so much for those kind words. Well, it came because selfishly, if Beyonce ever comes to South Africa, I don't want to be financially ill-prepared, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, I don't believe in the idea of saving for nice things in an irresponsible way. And also South Africa has become a hub of international artists. All the international artists now want to come here. So how does one balance all of those three worlds? How do you balance being financially responsible, seeing the artists that you want to see, and also not breaking the bank? And I was very frustrated because I missed a favorite artist last year when I thought Kanye West was still coming. Financially, I was not prepared for that. And I shared a TikTok. I was like, guys, let's be serious about this thing. How about we start a concert festival stockpile? And what is crazy is that when you read my bio, we had 200 participants in Groove Fund, but right now we are almost at 350.
Sure.
And this movement is 3.5 months long. So, yeah, it's a sentiment that a lot of people agree with. We don't have to prioritize for a good time and be irresponsible. There is a responsible way of doing it. African people have been doing it for hundreds of years. Why not digitize it and make it 2026 friendly?
Yeah, that's really what I love about it. It's the fact that we're saying we know that the time to have a good time will come. Let's be financially prepared for it. And I think that many people agree in the numbers of people that have joined you. Now, speak to us about how it actually works.
So the minimum contribution amount is 500 Rand. That is the amount that we suggest people to contribute every single month. And what we do is that we buy tickets for the top 40% of contributing members, because by pooling that amount to the top 40, we have the leverage to buy a ticket that's worth 900 Rand, that's worth 950 from that 500 Rand that you contribute. And then if you don't get a ticket this month, your money rolls over. And the app is very transparent. You can see who's contributed this month, who has skipped a payment, because we understand that life happens. And yeah, that's how the system works. You have to sign into groovefund.co.za. You have to have a profile. And then once you open your profile, you're going to see the list of events. We've been able to send people to see Ghana. We've been able to send people to see Maria the Scientist. We're sending people to see J. Cole. Jill Scott is on our lineup. Listen, Ella May is on our lineup. So I'm just saying, join the movement.
And is this just for local festivals?
You mean festivals coming to South Africa?
Yes, so local concerts. So concerts coming to South Africa only.
Yeah. For now it is, because the model is still young. So we just want to make sure that the model is robust enough to support international concerts. And also we want to partner with companies who also feel like this idea is fun and exciting for them, because I think then it's going to open up the world for us. But for now, it's very important that we get this model right in the local market first before we go outside.
So what happens if for the year that I contributed my 500 rands for 12 months, there's no concert that I want to attend?
Yeah. You can ask for a refund. We just tell everybody that because this is an app, it has servers, we have a database at the back of it that's collecting everything. We take 10% of the contribution just to make sure that the lights are still on.
Okay.
But you can always request for a refund. It's just that we're going to minus that 10% from your refund.
And how often can I go? So let's say now we see Jill Scott is coming and Ella May is also coming, and I want to
Yeah.
go to all of those concerts. Can I?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. There's a member actually who's very who's very diligent at contributing,
Yeah.
and they've been able to go to concerts every 2 months because there's so many events to choose from. We haven't had an issue where everybody wants to go to Jill Scott because we cater for a variety of tastes. We cater for amapiano, jazz, soul, R&B. So we haven't found a situation where there's a bottleneck. So yeah, as long as you are committed and you contribute regularly, then you move up the leaderboard and you're most likely to get a ticket.
And must this be a concert that you that's on your radar as Groove Fund? So, for example, if it's a concert that's not necessarily a big one that's been sold by the big companies, can I still go to that, or must it be one that's been recognized by Groove Fund?
It's one that has to be recognized by us, but our WhatsApp is very much open. Our TikTok DMs are very open, and people do not shy away from suggesting events. So we do understand that sometimes our vision can be very limited. So we suggest that members also give us suggestions because also time is of the essence, okay? So we rely on our members also playing a part in this movement to make sure that we have the best and the most on-demand events on our lineup.
All right. Nene Mahlangu is the founder of Groove Fund. So the app is called Groove Fund, right? And they can find it on all app stores?
Yeah, go online, go to groovefund.co.za and then sign up.
All right. Thank you so much. It really sounds so cool. The founder of Groove Fund, and it's a concert stockfell. Check them out.
More isn't just a word. It is Stand-Up Asset Management's commitment to doing better every day for our clients. It's about investing to create futures and delivering on our promises. It's about never giving up on better, because better starts with more. We invest in more to give investors data-led insights that transform, portfolios built for a changing world, and consistent performance you can trust. Stand-Up Asset Management. Invest in more. Stand-Up Asset Management is an authorized financial services provider.
These holidays, millions of South Africans dream of a well-earned getaway. The reality, however, can be very different.
Look like the kind of place that'll only get dusted for fingerprints.
Accommodation can look great online, but in reality...
Never seen a home look so homeless.
Sadly, they've been flat-fished. That's why City Lodge brings you SOS. Visit saveourstay.co.za for City Lodge hotels nearby and up to 30% off. Getting flat-fished is hard. Check into easy. T's and C's apply.
What do you consider amazing? At Lexus, we believe it's experiencing next, now. The Lexus NX elevates every journey with confident sophistication. Built for ambitious drivers, modern lifestyles, and families with tomorrow in mind. From its striking design to its efficient hybrid performance, this premium SUV delivers what's next, today. Book a test drive at your nearest Lexus dealership, because next is now. Lexus. Experience amazing. T's and C's apply.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language that MTN Business and 702 understands well. That's why we're celebrating SMEs who walk that entrepreneurial talk in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. From the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between, small businesses are proving that big things can grow from bold ideas. If that sounds like your business or one you know, go to primemediaplus.com to enter or nominate them, because once we start talking about your business, who knows how much further it could go. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. T's and C's apply. All right, it's time now for Eyewitness News with Mongezi Koko.
This is EWN.
A very good afternoon. I'm Monkey Zikoko. The state is not opposing bail for 15 of the 16 people linked to the multi-million rand SAPS tender awarded to the company of alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Kat Matlala. The group, including 12 senior police officers and Matlala himself, is appearing before the Pretoria Magistrates Court today, facing charges including fraud and money laundering. The police officers were arrested in a raid by the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption last night and are accused of helping the controversial businessman secure a 360 million rand police tender mired in irregularities. The state has informed the court that it is not opposing Matlala's release on bail. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi reports.
This is one of the first major police breakthroughs emanating from the Madlanga Commission since it began hearing evidence in September last year. The inquiry has heard evidence of how senior police officials assisted Matlala to score the tender in exchange for kickbacks. The tender was cancelled a year after it was awarded to Medicare 24 following an internal audit report that found irregularities in the bidding process. Government says the arrest sent a clear message that no individual is above the scrutiny of the law. Government Deputy Spokesperson William Baloy.
The arrests serve as a firm reminder across the public sector that ethical leadership, transparent procurement practices, and strict compliance with policies such as the Public Finance Management Act are non-negotiable obligations.
Meanwhile, the National Prosecuting Authority says it believes it has a watertight case against the group. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
Staying with the courts, the man arrested in connection with the murder of a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry says the postponement of his bid for bail is simply unfair. Matipandi Lesoteni appeared in the Brakpan Magistrates Court today for allegedly shooting Marius van der Merwe, who testified at the commission as witness D. He was meant to formally apply for bail today, but his lawyers requested to return to court on the 14th of May to finalize his bid for bail. However, Soteni lashed out and told the court that the instruction to postpone the matter simply didn't come from him.
For postponing this case is delaying the matter, and I wish to assist the court. I'm ready with my statement. I'm ready to say what had happened. He did not even take my statement, Your Worship. I'm arrested here for something I did not commit.
The King Sabata Dalindyebo District Municipality in the Eastern Cape says it's awaiting a report into the cause of the Buetha Skaku building fire in the Mthatha CBD. A fire started in the building, which is situated right opposite the municipal offices last night. Now, firefighters are still working on fully extinguishing the blaze. Municipal spokesperson Oluwethu Maboluva.
As the municipality, you don't want to speculate as to what might have started the fire, but reports that we'll probably be getting during the day, they will bring light into what actually happened.
She says they are waiting on provincial government officials to advise on a way forward.
We are hopeful that Public Works will be able to give us a full report as this building belongs to them, and also what happens to the employees that were working in this particular building.
The DA is making a radical proposal to cushion the blow of the imminent fuel price increase, which includes cutting the general fuel levy and the road accident fund levy by 50%. It's suggesting surpluses from the compensation fund and the sector education and training authorities be used to fund the shortfall in revenue, which will be caused by slashing the levies. The party's Mark Burke says this could provide South Africans with at least 3 months of relief at the pumps caused by the latest Middle East conflict. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
As from next month, motorists will be paying a record-breaking R5 more per litre of petrol and R9 more per litre for diesel. Last month, the Finance Minister also announced a 21 cents per litre increase in the general fuel levy. The DA's Mark Burke says there are ways to limit the impact the soaring oil price will have on ordinary South Africans and the broader economy by reducing fuel levies.
Combined, these two levies contribute 6.35 rand or R6.35 to the overall price of fuel, and consequently a 50% reduction would dampen increases by R3.17.
Burke says the party is not oblivious to the impact its proposal will have on tax revenue, but digging into unused funds from the compensation fund is not an unreasonable ask.
In its 24-25 annual report, it applied to retain a 21.7 billion rand surplus, despite receiving a disclaimer audit opinion.
The controversial seaters are also holding on to more than 6 billion rand in surplus funds, which the DA calculates could provide a further month of fuel price relief. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And China's foreign ministry has accused Japan of failing in its duties to protect diplomatic staff. This comes after a member of Japan's military broke into the Chinese embassy in Tokyo yesterday morning. A 23-year-old man, confirmed to be a member of the military, was arrested shortly after the incident. According to reports, a knife was later found at the scene. Japan says yesterday's incident is deeply regrettable. Gold is trading at $4,582.41 an ounce. The rand is at 16.85 to the dollar, 22.60 to the pound, 19.55 to the euro. Brent oil is at $98.06 a barrel.
Slow-moving traffic in the Edenvale area heading towards Bedfordview R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange and the Joburg CBD. There's still slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound between the Killarney Bends and the double-decker section.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng today, with isolated showers and thundershowers still expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the state is not opposing bail for 15 of the 16 people linked to the multi-million rand SAPS tender awarded to the company of alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Kat Matlala.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoons with me, Khomoza Modise. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's 7 minutes past 2, and we're together for the next hour. And I'm really looking forward to the next conversation that we're about to have. It's an important one. It's around neurodiversity careers, and it's ahead of a groundbreaking initiative that's taking place at the University of Johannesburg this weekend, aiming to reshape how we think about talent, education, and employment and neurodiversity careers. So yeah, it's an important conversation to have around neurodivergence. And so if you are a parent or someone who is neurodivergent, I really want to hear from you. It's a conversation that I'm sure interests you, but also we live with neurodivergent people around us. And so it's a conversation that I do think will equip us, especially when it comes to careers. Get in touch with us. The number to dial is 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702.
702.
Masterclass.
The Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja is brought to you by Standard Bank Travel. Download the Standard Bank app and book your next trip via Standard Bank Travel. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. All right, my guests for this next conversation are with me in studio. So this weekend, a groundbreaking initiative is taking place at the University of Johannesburg Soweto campus, a neurodiversity career fair that's aiming to reshape how we think about talent, education, and employment, bringing together over 20 schools, along with universities, employers, and organizations. The event focuses on creating real opportunities for neurodivergent learners from further education to meaningful careers. But beyond the event itself, it raises a bigger question. Are our schools, workplaces, and systems truly designed to include neurodiverse individuals? For that conversation, with me in studio, I've got Prof. Sifotu, Prof. M.M. Sifotu, who's the professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at UJ. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming into the studio.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for welcoming us.
Yes, and it's a packed studio because we've also got some young people here with us and some people who are here to support Prof as well. I see many of you greeting us. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for coming into the studio.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I'm really looking forward to the conversation. It's an important one, Prof, particularly because when we think about neurodiversity or neurodivergent people and pupils, right, we think let's get the right schools, right? We think about that conversation and make sure that let's get them catered for in the correct schools, equipped schools. But we don't always think about how far this goes in terms of career. Yes. Right? We think it stops at the education level. So maybe let me start here and not get ahead of myself. What is neurodivergence?
Thank you so much, Madam. Neurodiversity, I would like us to look at it simply as human brains, human minds working differently, working in ways that differ, but not necessarily that this is a problem. We are living in societies that look at what we refer to as a deficit, but for us, it's just difference. It is plainly explained within what we call a neurodiversity umbrella. This is a term that leaves us with pegging each one of the neurodiversity conditions under that umbrella. Okay. What is popularly known in our part of the world is actually autism. And from autism, we move to ADHD, and there are many others under that umbrella. But it is simply how human beings process information, take in information, process it, and behave. Those three pillars are important because they help us to understand why are we different and why are we behaving differently towards different conditions.
Yeah, thank you so much for that because quite frankly, I think there's always loose definitions, right, that make the rounds around what exactly it is. Now, speak to me about the importance then of having careers in neurodiversity because I know a big problem has always been that even many of our children that are neurodivergent will still be in quote-unquote what people call normal schools, right? Or in everyday schools. But of course, there's an importance of having them in the correct schools. What does that mean leading up to their careers?
I wonder what the meaning of correct actually would imply. Because I believe correct here should be seen as looking at accommodating difference. Because once we say correct, we are reverting back to a model that boxes people. However, our approach is that people should be let to be who they are. Each one of us has come into the world for a particular mission, for a particular purpose. What is this individual's purpose? And can we help them in terms of careers, in terms of what they are able to do, to nourish that, to develop that, to create, to make that, to be create and develop a brand for themselves.
What does the landscape currently look like in terms of careers, in terms of neurodiversity? Because in many workplaces, it's not really accommodated for.
We're still in the dark in most cases because neurodiversity is only becoming popular now. People are beginning to be aware of what it means, what it is. And the variety that we find under neurodiversity also poses challenges. Let me make an example of only autism. Under autism, we will have people who would perform differently towards responding to different issues in life. There are those who will excel in life. But because society is so uneducated in terms of autism, then we tend to say, well, we don't think these people can actually operate in the world of work. This is why our conversation together with parents, together with employers, together with the communities on Saturday should lead us to finding ways of saying, how do we accommodate the learners from the school and transition them into the world of work? That also is a space that we need to interrogate because many employers may not understand how to deal with neurodivergent employees.
Yeah, we're going to come into what we can expect at the career fair this weekend.
Thank you.
I am speaking to Professor Sefotho, who's a professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at UJ. And we're taking your calls and your questions. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. You can send me or call us on 011-883-0702. After the break, we're going to be continuing with this conversation.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
Andile here with more than just a betting app ad. Download the 10Bet app and enjoy the action of betting anytime, anywhere. It's more than just an app. It's a 10Bet experience. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076-675-0710.
Every hour in South Africa, someone hears the words, "You have blood cancer." For many patients, a stem cell transplant is their only chance at survival. Yet their match could come from a stranger, someone like you. It takes just 3 minutes to register as a stem cell donor. So visit dkmsafrica.org today and give someone the best kind of hope.
Looking for a new ride this Easter? Get the new Polo Vivo 1.4 Life from Barron's Volkswagen with a full basket of extras from only 3,490, including a 3-year full maintenance plan, alloy wheels, parking package, and rear view camera. That's right, all of this for only 3,490 per month. Hop on down to Barron's Woodmead or Barron's Broomer today to take advantage of this excellent deal. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language MTN Business and 702 understand very well. That's why we're celebrating SMEs who walk that entrepreneurial talk in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. From the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between, small businesses are proving that big things can grow from bold ideas. If that sounds like your business or one that you know, go to primemediaplus.com to enter or nominate them. Because once we start talking about your business, who knows how much further it can go. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. T's and C's apply.
If it's trending, timeless, or totally unexpected, it's unpacked on the masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja. Brought to you by Standard Bank Travel on 702.
It is, we're having our conversation this afternoon. It's a masterclass on neurodiversity careers. My name is Modise. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. And my guest, Prof. Sefotho, Prof. M.M. Sefotho, who is a professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at the University of Joburg. But we also have Mrs. Humile Mashatile, who is from the Paul and Humile Mashatile Foundation. And I want to rope you into the conversation, Humile. Thank you so much for your time. You do a lot of work, in neurodiversity. But from a careers perspective, just talk to me about what the foundation has been doing to have neurodiversity careers recognized.
Thank you so much for having me into the studio. Yes, as you indicated, that we work quite closely with various communities across the country, even globally as well. Actually, we work with different countries to see actually how we can collaborate in various aspects. But very closely from our foundation, the Paul and Humile Mashatile Foundation, what we have actually done, because we've actually seen that there's a huge gap between, as Prof has indicated, from when a child is identified to actually being ASD or neurodiverse, right up until their adulthood. So with that said, we then thought as a foundation, we need to be able to have a holistic approach when it comes to neurodiversity. We shouldn't just identify them, provide them necessary support throughout their childhood and adulthood, but what then happens after they leave school and actually approach their working space. And hence we to say how then do we incorporate and actually involve various corporates as to how do they employ and provide a workspace that actually does accommodate them, bearing in mind they think differently, their brain functions differently. So therefore, we're not just providing a space where they can function effectively, but again, we're educating the employees and the supervisors and the managers as to how then do they adapt to how they think and understand that they think differently. Therefore, even the KPIs will not be your standard KPIs, but it will be based on their capabilities and their competencies. So we've really partnered with UJ on various programs throughout the country. Last year, we had a program whereby we're training teachers and caregivers on how to identify ASD from early development stages. And this event that is taking place this weekend, we then incorporating, of course, as to the career fair, which ought to then bring on board different corporates to say, this is what we are doing, and also encourage them. Yes, the country, I must say that we need to applaud that there's various corporates that have been very intentional when it comes to employing neurodiverse people. And I mean, there's quite a few actually, which I cannot name. And we're really encouraging more corporates to actually be open to employing people that are neurodiverse and getting to understand what neurodiversity is, which is what the foundation ought to achieve.
Yeah. And Prof, have you found that most companies and most corporates still struggle with defining what it is to be neurodiverse? And as a result, then they struggle to cater for neurodiverse people? They
do, madam. And as ma'am is saying, we applaud those who really go a mile and employ neurodivergent people. But I think there's a great gap in terms of understanding how best to accommodate, how best to include, so that we don't have a worker who goes home feeling, I am not understood at all. I am not supported. I feel even my colleagues don't understand. These are the programs that we ought to be looking towards to developing so that our corporate world, we hold hands with them together, learn how best to accommodate neurodivergent workers.
And in terms of the type of work that neurodivergent people can do, because we do speak about how they are differently abled and their minds work differently.
Yes.
Are there specific tasks that they should be prioritized for, or is it all work? How does it work?
That is where it goes back to where I said earlier. What is the ability of the person that I'm employing? Am I making an informed decision looking at what the need for my workplace is, so that eventually we don't mismatch the abilities with the requirements of the employment space? What is important really is not to look at the traditional way of working. Let me make an example. Here is someone who excels, who has autism, but they excel in mathematics. Why can't we look at how best to accommodate this person and use the ability they have there? There are many of them who are so good at retaining information, and they are very systematic in how they approach life. These are the skills that normally we don't look at. But if that can help in our employment space, why can't we optimize that and say this is what we are going to be working on, involving this person in a way that he feels or she feels accommodated and accepted?
Yeah. And Humile, you spoke about the work that you do on the ground. So with with some schools, with some, corporates as well. What are your findings as you've been working with people on the ground, just around what they understand around neurodiversity, but also the systems that they have in place?
There's actually quite a lot that I must say is mostly developed in the private schools, rather. But looking at communities that I work with, of course, in previously disadvantaged areas, that's mainly where we're focusing in. We're finding there's a huge gap also when it comes to our communities as to understanding what ASD is. And so it's another aspect that we really need to be quite deliberate as a parent as well, I mean, a mother that has a child that is autistic, we look even across our circles that, our friends or people are around us, them understanding what ASD is. So we still need to bring in quite a lot of education and awareness as to what is ASD, that it's children or people that think differently, they function differently. So we still need to do a lot of work as a society and bring in awareness of ASD and the fact that they are not disabled. They just function differently. They think differently. So it is for us now to be able to accommodate, or rather to understand how they think, and not really, as Prof has said, that we've been so used to being boxed and think that is normal, right? But have we been able as a society to think outside of our mind? How do they function? Take time and understand how they function. So that's a societal issue that we still need to overcome. To say, I know in some instances in the Eastern Cape, some of the parents actually, one of the mothers has actually walked out of the family actually because she's like, she can't understand what this is. Yeah. And she walked out the child and never to come back. So clearly we can see that it's a lack of knowing, it's a lack of education as to what ASD is, that it's not a disability, it's just that your child thinks and functions differently. So we're still having to overcome those challenges. I'm not even going to start when it comes to, communities still believing that it's witchcraft. I'm not even going to go into that discussion right now. But I mean, even within our children, I think even within our school setups, we need to also educate our children within, because of course, I look at other countries, for instance, in Turkey, some of the schools incorporate kids that are ASD into a normal class. In that way, they're able to understand that we are all different and we function differently. It's for us now to be able to understand how they think. So probably that's another aspect that as a society, we need to be able to then say, how then do our people get to understand ASD and normalize it actually. That's the other thing, that we shouldn't see it as though it's a disability, but normalize it within our schools, even within our children as well. So they're also able to understand that other people do function differently. It's for us to be able to reach out and actually understand how they think.
Yeah. I think a big part of it really is education. People just having to be educated, even around the correct terminology. I do see a WhatsApp here, someone saying, do we say autism or rather autism spectrum disorder? And I think this person is one of those that wants to make sure that they are that they don't insult, right? And that they are correct in the terminology. Yes. So which one is it?
Okay. The language is embedded in a lot of disability politics. Some people will feel better if you say they are autistic. Okay. Others feel better if you say they are with autism. Others feel better, just referring to it as autism. But here it actually relates to the continuous conversation that we should have as a society. And the more we talk about, the more we will refine and decide as the nation what terminology to use. Yes. Most of the time we're using borrowed ideas, borrowed ways of looking at things. Yes. But have we, as a country, sat down and said, this is where we want to go and this is how we want to address the issue? These are bigger projects that will allow the space for us to talk and even think, are there ways of acknowledging autism in our own languages, and how and what does it mean in our own cultural backgrounds?
We're speaking about neurodiverse individuals and in the context of careers, really. And this is ahead of a career fair at the University of Johannesburg that's coming this weekend. We're going to be having more on that after our headlines. We're also going to go into how it is that employers can better cater, how they can prepare themselves and create environments, workplaces, right? Someone may be listening out there saying, I really do want to create an environment that is, friendly to neurodiverse individuals. How do I go about doing that? We'll have more of that right after the headlines. For now, though, we've got Mongezi Koko standing by with the Eyewitness News headlines. Mongezi, good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomotso. A very good afternoon. The state is not opposing bail for 15 of the 16 people linked to the multi-million rand SAPS tender awarded to the company of alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Kat Matlala. The group, including 12 senior police officers and Matlala, is before the Pretoria Magistrates Court today facing charges including fraud and money laundering. The police officers were arrested in a raid by the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption last night and are accused of helping the controversial businessman secure a 360 million rand police tender mired in irregularities. Staying with policing matters, officers say preliminary reports into this morning's Yeovil shooting indicate that the victims were followed from the airport. It's alleged the 5 suspects were traveling in 2 separate vehicles, trailing the unsuspecting victims from the OR Tambo International Airport, but they were stopped by police and a shootout ensued. And the Spanish government has warned that the Middle East war presents a far worse scenario than the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The country says the US invasion of Iraq that year had failed to achieve its goals and instead made life worse for ordinary people, further warning that the attacks on Iran could have similar economic impacts for millions. Now those are your headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Poisons, we still have slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the double-decker section. Traveling through Edenvale heading towards Bedfordview. Also, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N3 southbound. This is between Marafontein Road and Van Buren. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Belez and Malibongo Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Vodacom United Rugby Championship is one of the hottest tournaments on the planet. Hollywood Bets adds spice with an epic competition in which 400,000 rand in cash, prizes and betting vouchers must be won. Prizes include a Vodacom URC VIP experience and a glamorous Table Mountain adventure. To enter, simply bet 30 rand or more on any Vodacom URC fixture between 23 January and 16 May. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
It's 26 minutes to 3 and Dada John is in studio. He's on 702 Drive a little later on. Dada John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the listeners.
Yes, what's coming up on the show?
So there's a lot going on. If you look behind you, Khomotso, at your TV screen, you'll see a courtroom. There's hardly room for the lawyers because there's 16 accused. And these are people who stand charged with being involved in the Tshwane Medicare issue. This is a contract that Vusumuzi Kat Matlala got from the South African Police Service. A bail application underway. complicated, as you can imagine, with so many people in the dock. We'll get an update on that at 3:20. But then after 5, we'll look in more detail at the story with Jeff Wicks of News 24, who's actually uncovered it. On the other side of the world, in the United States, Khumotso, Meta, the company that owns Facebook and other properties in cyberspace, has received its biggest ever fine from a court. And it's to do with the harm that people believe they suffered from using Facebook. The implications of the case are quite significant.
Did they say what kind of harm, did it, John?
Yes, they did, but it's quite complicated because there were a number of different people who took the matter to court. So quite a lot of detail, but we'll explore that at 10:05 with media lawyer Rourke Wilson. He'll be joining us then. South African National Defence Force deployed in various communities. We saw them in Gauteng trying to deal with illegal mining and gangs. They move into the Western Cape today, and that's going to be a very, very significant challenge indeed. We'll hear from community activists in the Cape Flats, some of whom are not entirely convinced this is a good thing. And then the war in and around Iran affecting fuel prices. We're starting to see shortages of diesel, and the implications of that for the production of food, but crucially its distribution, are quite worrying. We're going to look at those at 10:04.
All right, that's Afternoon Drive with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m.
From brainy to bizarre, if it's worth knowing, it's on the masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja. Brought to you by Standard Bank Travel on 702.
It's the masterclass, and it's right here on 702 Afternoons with me, Khomotso. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon, and we're having a really important conversation this afternoon around neurodiversity and careers. And I am in studio with a guest, Professor M.M. Sofoto, who's the professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at UJ. I'm also with Humile Mashatile from the Paul and Humile Mashatile Foundation, who do a lot of work in this space as well. And of course, the conversation that we're having is around neurodivergent individuals and really developing the workplace as well as schools to be more, I don't want to say accommodating, but I should say that there should be environments that are friendly for those who are neurodiverse. Prof, I want to hear from you around the current work that's being done, particularly in schools, because earlier on you spoke about how it's not necessarily that all neurodivergent individuals will go to a special school, so to speak. Do we have instances where neurodivergent individuals can be comfortably placed in what people call normal schools and be catered for adequately?
Thank you so much. Maybe to borrow that environment caveat,
yes,
to say we are now talking about being neuro-inclusive. This is where now it leads us to all types of schools being able to accommodate our neurodivergent learners.
Yes.
A lot is happening in the space. Government has supported a lot of schools in terms of accommodating our learners. Yes, when we look at the policy says we have to be inclusive. That's a drive. Yet we cannot forget that we have those who can be and should be accommodated in special schools because of their needs. Now, what we are doing in the space is the training of teachers. And we are in the Department of Educational Psychology.
Yeah.
And it is a department that is catered that is catering for training educational psychologists. That aspect of education is very important because they look at education from the perspective of psychologically, how can I support learners who are neurodivergent?
Okay.
We are not in the space alone. We work with the Gauteng Department of Education, where we are exposed to many schools. May I not mention schools by names, because there are so many of them, and I don't want others to feel jealous that he didn't mention us. But this is the space where we have started the conversation. We have started retraining our teachers to say, in order for us to deal with neurodivergent learners and support them to be successful, this is the way to go. And we are, again, engaging in training of trainers for caregivers, because we are afraid that if we focus only on teachers,
yes,
caregivers and parents are left behind. There's no bridging. There's no transition that, what we did in at home, the teacher must continue with that. What the teacher does in school, back home, the same should happen so that we don't confuse the learners.
And can you give examples of those, like just practical examples? For example, in a
Yes.
classroom environment,
Yes.
what would be different and what would a teacher have to do practically to accommodate?
Let me make an example of what we are looking, what is facing me now. It's a bright light. Let's suppose in school, talking to the learner is able to express themselves that this light is too much for me. And at home, there might not be the same awareness, or vice versa. That is the kind of information that we need to communicate, the kind of skills that we need to develop so that the learner becomes proactive and says, I'm comfortable learning in this particular space. But both the parents and the teachers need to be in conversation so that there is continuity.
Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. And I want to bring you in, Humile, on the, employee aspect, right? Because an employer out there may be listening, thinking, I want to create an environment that is accommodative, an environment that is conducive, that will be comfortable for a neurodivergent person. What would that look like from an employment perspective?
Thanks for that. I mean, bearing in mind that, ASD is vast, and in terms of, of course, it will differ from one child or young adult to the next. As Prof has indicated, one child could be sensitive to light and therefore probably would want to work in a more dimmer space. So really that will then require the employer to get to rather create spaces which are more conducive. I mean, we look at other aspects, for instance, working from home, for instance. I mean, employers then should be open to say, fine, if you want to be working from home, how then do we make sure that, yes, there is some level of work that is being done, but you're able to work in a comfortable environment, right? Of course, ensuring that there is some level of productivity. But again, with certain corporates that are able to change their spaces around to enable a conducive space for them to function optimally, that would be ideal. But again, that requires some level of involvement with them, with Prof, with certain organizations, where they're able to then identify. Because of course, as they're young adults, they more or less know what stimulates them, what understimulates them, and would then, of course, probably relate that such information to the employer. But again, I think it would be far more important that companies then involve organizations where they're able to create spaces within the organizations that do accommodate people that are ASD with sensory issues. So it doesn't just require an individual, but an organization. Of course, we've got therapists that will then say, for instance, other people would prefer to working in rocking chairs, right? So of course that requires one now to change the normal standard chairs to then have rocking chairs in the workspace. Is that something that is practical to do? In other organizations it is. In others, they'll say, can you rather than work from home in a space that is comfortable? Also, I think the one aspect we also need to understand is that most of the people that are ASD, they prefer to work as individuals, right? So they're not too good in group setups. So then how then do we work around that? So those are the small practical ways to say, I mean, you can't, giving them a group assignment could be a bit, they can be a bit anxious, right? And whether the task could be executed optimally, it's another conversation. So really providing them with tasks, or rather spaces where they're able to deliver as individuals to their employer, but even the level of engagement. Some of them are they don't really prefer one-on-ones, but they prefer to type out their report and converse in that sort of manner. So really understanding from employer perspective as to what is ASD and how to tackle it. And that, I think, really, it requires us, together through the career fair, to say employers should then come through and actually understand what neurodiversity is, so that they're able then to say, are we able, or are we even ready to employ people who are ASD and on various neurological abilities. And so really, we need to look at holistically within our spaces and actually allowing certain individuals to be able to work independently where they are more comfortable.
We're speaking about neurodiversity careers this afternoon, and my guest, Prof. M.M. Sofotu, who is the professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at UJ. And we also have Humile Mashatile, who is from the Paul and Humile Mashatile Foundation. I do see some of your WhatsApps coming in. Let's take some voice notes.
Hi, Khomotso and the listeners, including the professor there. I just want to find out if Down syndrome falls under the spectrum of the neuro conditions that you're speaking of there. So last week was Down syndrome awareness. Not sure if you know that, the 21st of March. And I saw the stats saying about 65%, if not more, of people with Down syndrome hardly ever find work compared to other people living with disabilities. So I just want him to touch on that, to find out what he knows in regards to that, because I was just cringing the thought of my son, who's currently 1 year old, thinking that he will never ever, or he's going to possibly struggle to find work eventually in life. That time we're doing all that we can in terms of his occupational therapy and physiotherapy and such. So yeah. I just wanted to contribute to the topic at hand.
Thank you so much for that voice note, Prof. So maybe the first part of her question is whether this does fall under Down syndrome falls under neurodivergence.
It definitely does.
Okay.
It definitely does, Madam. And thank you for that for voice note, Madam. Yes, indeed, Down syndrome on the 21st at the Center for Neurodiversity. Every year we celebrate neurodiversity day on the 21st of March. This year it has not happened because of the logistical issues to allow us to couple it with the upcoming 28th of March. But traditionally what we do, we have our Vice Chancellor, Professor Letlhokwa Mpedi, who spearheads that activity of Down Syndrome Day celebration. And may I be allowed to say that he also has developed a scholarship that he funds from his own pocket. Each year from the last, this is the third year, he's been funding about 5 students for master's degrees who would research in any part of the neurodivergent condition, but specifically focusing on on Down syndrome and autism. The center is now conceptualizing a program in answer to Madam's question, where we will have accommodated young people with autism, but also with Down syndrome, to come to our campus, be given skills there, together holding hands with employers in the journey, so that we start right there to develop them, and the employer begins to understand how they operate, so that eventually they can be included into the world of work.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be speaking about the career fair that's going to be held at the University of Johannesburg this weekend.
Sorry I'm late, Sevi. Had to fetch my lucky butter. No worries, let's go. We're teeing off in an hour. Great. We're taking your car. Can't. It's already taken. What do you mean taken? It was right here when I left a few minutes ago. I sold it to Weber Cars and made a whole lot of green. Birdie told me that's the best way to sell your car. Not only the best way, it's the fair way. Kom ons vat die pad.
Don't be doof, be savvy. We buy cars geared for a fast sale, geared for you.
Canon doesn't just create smart, technically innovative cameras, they create experiences. With a versatile range of cameras, lenses, and efficient printers, Canon delivers effortless performance, stunning image quality, and intuitive control. Whether you're capturing a moment, creating something new, or bringing your work to life in print, Canon helps you do it beautifully because they believe everyone should be able to create, share, and experience the world with confidence and ease. Visit canon.co.za to find out more.
From your pet's bowl
to Belito, brew.
or Barcelona, maybe Bordeaux,
How about Brazil?
or Butts, Betty's, Baviance, Bella Bella, or even Benoni. Buy any Hills pet food and you could win one of 10 holidays worth 200,000 Rand each. Or take the bucks. Scientifically proven formulas for your pet. An adventure for you. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more. T's and C's apply.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language MTN Business and 702 understand very well. That's why we're celebrating SMEs who walk that entrepreneurial talk in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. From the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between, small businesses are proving that big things can grow from bold ideas. If that sounds like your business or one you know, go to theprimediaplus.com to enter or nominate them, because once we start talking about your business, who knows how much further it can go. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. T's and C's apply.
702
Masterclass.
It's the Masterclass right here on 702 Afternoons, and today we're talking about neurodiversity careers. So, in studio, we've got some really amazing young people who are joining my guests here. We have Lesego and Precious, and I mean, you guys, you've got a lot to say just before the careers affair that we're going to be having this weekend. Lesego, hi. Thank you so much for coming into studio.
Yeah, no, I haven't interviewed in a long time, you know. My name's Siabi.
Yes.
I'm currently 18 years old. Very scary, to be honest. Like,
It's scary to be on air?
to be 18.
Oh, to be
Nowadays.
right?
Nowadays.
No, I know, because I remember when I turned 18, I just thought the whole world was done. I was old, but I can assure you that you are not very old. Precious?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you so much for coming into studio, guys.
Okay.
I want to hear from you guys. What skills are you guys learning at school?
So at my school, right, the schools I'm currently learning. So I mainly do bakery, computers, and food preparations. I'm not like taking them as like a career,
Yeah.
but like to gain knowledge and like do hobbies and stuff, like to do it independently without needing like a person. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. And what school do you go to again?
Oh, I go to Johannesburg School for Autism.
Okay, Johannesburg School for Autism.
Yes,
So your
that's correct.
bakery, computers, and food preparation.
Yes.
What do you enjoy most?
Ooh, mainly. Oh, to be honest, it's very tough. But mainly, I enjoy computers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think you want to pursue a career in computers?
Yeah, mainly computers. But majority to like music production.
Okay.
And music making, because I've been like doing this since I was 13 years old.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, well, you should.
I wanna like pursue it.
I want to
more,
listen
more.
to some of your music, Lesego. Precious.
Yes.
What careers are you learning about at school?
My career is looming, and Teacher Sonto and Teacher Nomonde, they teach me how to loom, and I like to enjoy looming, and it's my part of skill. And looming looks like it's my life, and I want to create a business about it.
So what exactly is looming?
Looming is this stuff.
Okay.
This one.
So it's like crocheting.
Crocheting, yes.
Yes. And you want to pursue that as a career?
Yes.
All right. And you're also from the Joburg School of Autism.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. Prof, these are just some of the careers that the young people are learning at the School of Autism. Talk to me about what we can expect this weekend, because I'm sure this weekend's event is directed at them mostly.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm really so impressed and also happy that what they are talking about, they are saying what I like, which is what we are trying to promote. we will be having schools showcasing what they produce, what they teach their learners to work with. We have a variety of what will be taking place there: sewing, woodwork, steel design, robotics, and I would like to say that we have also one of our members of our colleagues who will be showcasing coding in the same space. We have handicrafts. We will be having another aspect of showing STEMs and robotics, robotics from one of our colleagues also in the space. We have visual arts. There's going to be quite a lot there to expect. And there'll be some music also. I'm happy to hear that he's interested also in music.
Yes.
And people will be showcasing some of those. And this is important for us because the world of career is immense. It's like an ocean. You can never finish it. But one has got to go and fish what they need from the ocean as it is.
Yeah. And Humile, I just want to bring you in there. I mean, earlier you spoke about having the corporates also involved in this. So are we expecting to see some of those also at the career fair?
Yes, absolutely. We're appealing to all corporates to attend the event. Not necessarily also for employment, for them to be able to acquire employment rather for the students, but for them to understand what ASD is and its spectrum. It's important that they actually understand that, as a society, ASD doesn't just affect the parents like ourselves and prof and the teachers, but it also affects the workspace as well. So then how then do they equip themselves for them to be able to understand and to be able to not just accommodate, but to say they need to be part of our world? How do we understand them? So it's really for them to be educated as to what ASD is. And also for them to be able to see how they can incorporate them within their workspaces. And as I'm saying, it's still new in the country, but again, we're appealing to all corporates to attend the event and interact with Prof. They've got a huge team and the pupils as well. We normally in sector, we have quite a few events that we do with the Johannesburg School of Autism, and they've got talented young individuals. And of course, they're now looking for work opportunity.
Yes.
And it's a matter of then us opening these opportunities for them to say, corporates, please come on board. We cannot do this by ourselves. We do need you to be able to be part of us and to understand what ASD is.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a parent out there who does have a neurodivergent child, or if you are neurodivergent yourself, I think that the career fair this weekend will be great. It's going to be this Saturday, the 28th of March, at the UJ Soweto campus at the Imbizo Hall. So that really does sound great. The response has been amazing. I do see some of you WhatsApp, someone saying, great topic. As someone that works in corporate that has ASD and ADHD and have a child that is similar to me, it's great hearing about this education in schools and corporates. And I'd love to chat with your guests more. And someone else also speaking about how they are qualified motor technician by profession, but once have been a teacher, and they would want to, they think that they have the patience and the passion, flexibility, and the goals of helping children with Down syndrome to be better as well. I want to thank you so much for coming through for this conversation, and we really look forward to the fair. Good luck with the career fair this weekend as we raise awareness around ASD.
Thank you so much, Madam.
All right, that was the Professor M.M. Sefutu, who is the professor of in the Department of Educational Psychology at UJ. And we also had Humile Mashatile, who's from the Paul and Humile Mashatile Foundation. Ready for your next adventure? Standard Bank Travel makes booking, paying for, and managing flights easier than ever, all straight from the Standard Bank banking app. Enjoy up to 40% off flights for friends and family, plus complimentary travel insurance and lounge access when you book with your qualifying credit card. Download the Standard Bank app and book your next flight via Standard Bank Travel. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, an adventure-packed tour, or a luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your center for travel. We make travel easy, affordable, and stress-free. Plus, you can enjoy exclusive traveler perks with our frequent Flighty Rewards program. Flight Centre's got you covered. Visit your nearest Flight Centre store or online at flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your center for travel.
It is 3 o'clock and it's time for a 702 afternoon drive. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for choosing 702. This was 702 afternoons with me, Komozamudise, in for Relebogile Mabotja. I must mention that this weekend's career fair, the Neurodiversity career fair at UJ, is going to be live streamed on UJ's YouTube. So please check it out. If you can't attend, go on YouTube. For now, though, thank you so much for tuning in and goodbye.
This is EWN.
Police top cop Fani Masemola served with summons over 360 million rand tender case, and operations at the OR Tambo Memorial Hospital suspended. A very good afternoon. I'm Monkey Zikoko. We begin with news just in. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has been served